Friends, in Universal Book Club, we get to see how God works through all authors. So these new books really retell the stories that we've been learning about since the ancients up through the Old Testament, New Testament, Quran, all the sacred scriptures and beyond. So let's go there. Hanif Kureishi, the novelist and screenwriter, blogged throughout the recovery from a spine injury in 2022, A Diary of Distress. He's edited into the memoir Shattered. He praises the pure genius of Bleak House on radio. My favorite book of all time might be Great Expectations from Charles Dickens, same author for Bleak House. Anyway, let's read this last paragraph. You're organizing a literary dinner party. Which three writers, dead or alive, do you invite? Certainly my dear friend Zadie Smith, whose company I love, a woman full of gossip, filth, and gorgeous, intelligent storytelling. I would also invite my pal Salman Rushdie, a brilliant raconteur and fabulous companion. Franz Kafka would be a wonderful addition, witty and wicked. Sadie Salman and I could ask him, what has gone wrong with the world? Love it. Here for the fear. New title, Strange Pictures. At Dark, I Become Loathsome. The Contortionist Handbook. I think what God is doing here is helping us all deal with the fears we were born with. Many of us have very different fears that stay with us until we get older in life. And this is a way of helping us deal with those. The Three Lives of Kate Kay. This novel centers on the secret tragedy behind a best-selling writer's success. Golden Years, How Americans Invented and Reinvented Old Age. Senior Living, a new book traces shifts in the nation's treatment of aging adults, for better and for worse. Chappelle rightly calls Social Security one of the great wonders of the American state. Play World, a child actor navigates the real-world dramas that engulf his adolescence. Well, come on, all of our adolescences are engulfed by drama. Aspiring to be a comic book artist, Griffin escapes into an elaborate Dungeons and Dragons campaign. The Secret History of the Rape Kit, a true crime story. A Revolution in a Box, the tangled story of a simple but life-changing innovation and the woman who fought for it. We Do Not Part, The Living Dead, a Nobel laureate's new novel revisits a violent chapter in South Korean history. The 1948-49 uprising on Jeju Island is seen by some historians as a precursor to the Korean War. Profile of Curtis Chin. The author's memoir celebrates the Chinese cuisine and community of his youth. Now he's paying it forward. That's what all successful authors do. They pay it forward. And the way they do that is just amazing. These are great stories. Everything I learned in a Chinese restaurant. Another Man in the Street, Common Ground. A Caribbean emigre and a Holocaust survivor cross paths in 1960s London. The protagonist becomes a journalist whose career is limited and deformed by racism. Open Socrates. Think big. A philosopher argues that Socrates offers a blueprint for an ethical life. The case for a philosophical life. Socrates was known for challenging his interlocutors to the point of exasperation. Vantage Point. Curses. The Sion siblings at the center of this gothic thriller try desperately to outrun the calamity that is their inheritance. Folks, as a geriatrician for over 40 years, well, and also studying the news and our culture for ever since I was 7 years old, I'm 68 now, I've just seen that the rich and famous almost all deal with this kind of calamity of the inheritance of wealth. Dark Laboratory on Columbus, the Caribbean, and the origins of the climate crisis. Invasive species. A scholar traces the origins of global environmental collapse to Columbus's conquest of the Caribbean. I love these children's books. A literary genius who championed nonsense. Johnny Rodari used puns, topsy-turvyism, and zany names to invent stories for children and help children invent their own. This review features two of his he died in, I think, 1980, but The Grammar of Fantasy is one that he wrote, and his last book was Lamberto. And let me just read this first paragraph. He goes, largely unacknowledged, but is nonetheless true that a complete accounting of any country's literary geniuses will include several writers for children. Near the top of the list for Italy would be Gianni Rodari. And then finally, we have Helen of Troy, 1993. So again, reinventions of great classic stories for different times and places. This poetry collection relocates Helen of Troy to small town Tennessee in the 1990s, about the affair from the hot folds of her body.